Is it fair to say, do you think, let's jumping back to, that was a big pivot away from the decision, wasn't it? That the true 50-50 calls in this series have all gone the Lions' way?
They have, and it's a really good point, and I want to bring it up to you in a moment about leadership. But we saw earlier in the game, Dan Sheehan, he was asked about it in the post-match, Joe Schmidt, and he had some questions to World Rugby about what this means, because we know that you can dive in the process of scoring a try, but can you really dive over two guys
from that far out?
From that far out, and it was a distance. It wasn't half a metre. It was probably a couple of metres, and I was surprised that they didn't look closer at that. It didn't really, like, I'm sure that, obviously the TMO is going to look at it, but they didn't actually get together as a coach, as a referee officiating unit to discuss that. That's a missed opportunity. That's a 50-50 call. It's probably more than that, So I think it is. The way that Maro Itoje was acting out there was dismissive of Harry Wilson. It was, I'm the captain here. I'm the bloke who's played 100 tests. I think that Harry Wilson hasn't been treated with the same respect from the officials. Now, why is that? Is it because he's, a captain that hasn't been locked and loaded for some time? He's emerging. He's only started. He's re-emerged in the last year.
What did I say last week? 9 out of 10 tests he'd done, the last of those played for the Wallabies.
I wonder whether or not, if that's Richie McCall, I know it's Richie McCall. He captained the country for a lot for the All Blacks, and he's, the aura that he had. But I don't think that Itoje treats him like, how he treated Wilson on the weekend. And I think the officials would listen to him more. So this isn't to blame Harry Wilson at all, but I think
is it on Joe Schmidt then, Christy? Should we perhaps have seen Alan Alatoa, who captains the Brumbies, who's got more familiarity dealing with referees, albeit in Super Rugby, has captained the Wallabies on a handful of occasions? Would that have been the more prudent call for this series?
I think so. I think in the sense that if you want to back in Harry Wilson, back him in. But if you don't, what's the hold up? Now, is it selection? We still don't really know, do we? But I think that it just left a little bit of ambiguity around, like, who is the actual real captain here. And I don't think that Harry was speaking with the same gravitas that a Maro Itoje would. Now, he got dismissed a couple of times by Piatti in the end, but he was in him constantly. And Harry Wilson's a respectful, lovely guy who loves his rugby, loves his nation. But I don't think that he would have been, I think that they would have thought more about it if it was a captain like an Alatoa. And I don't mean that in any disrespectful kind of manner, but it is curious that the 50-50 calls have stacked up against Australia.